guys, so for today's video I thought I would show you guys my updated foundation routine, kind of like go in depth and show you guys a few tricks on how to get that flawless smooth base. I'm the type of person that loves like a full coverage natural beat. I want my shit to be full coverage, but I still want you to not see it in a sense. So I want you to see it but to not see it. Full coverage but make it natural. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I've gotten to the point where I know what my skin likes, and I also know what other skin types like and what might work, what might not work. So yeah, I share my little tips and tricks, what products I love to use, stuff like that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I have to say. Let's get into it. So to start off, I feel like this goes without saying, but I'm gonna say it anyways. Skincare is very important in terms of how you want your foundation to lay, how you want your face makeup to look. Just keeping up with a solid skincare routine and keeping up with your skin is really going to help you in the long run, and just going to help your makeup apply a lot better. I'm not saying you have to have the 10-step Korean skincare, but taking care of your skin every night, you'll see a difference over time, and you will see a difference in the way your makeup lays. I feel like that's general knowledge. Take care of your skin and it will show in your makeup. Second would be prepping your skin really well beforehand. So I'm not talking about primer, I'm talking about steps to take before the primer. So you just want to make sure to moisturize your skin really well. Even if you have oily skin, please moisturize your skin, because just because your skin is oily doesn't mean that it's hydrating itself. In fact, it might be overproducing oil because you're not giving it enough moisture. So I have dry skin, so the moisturizer that I use might not necessarily work on you if you have if you have oily skin. But most of the time, if it's like a gel-like formula, it's meant for oily skin just because it's lightweight and oil-free. If it's a little thicker, it's meant for dry skin. Me personally, before my makeup, I like gel-like moisturizers. So I've been loving the Henriksen because I've been trying it and I love it. The C-Brush Brightening Gel Cream. It's very lightweight. It doesn't feel heavy. It kind of like gives your skin a nice glow. And this is good for all skin types, dry or oily. I've also been loving the Laneige Moisture Cream, which I would say is a good in-between. It's not very thick. It's not very gel-like, but it does perform well when I put it under my makeup, so this one's good. Moisturizer can have an effect on the way your foundation wears throughout the day, so just make sure you pick a good moisturizer for your skin type. Then after moisturizer, I like to go in with a little bit of eye cream. I have been using the Henriksen Banana Bright Eye Cream. Eye cream is going to help with the same way you moisturize your skin. You want to moisturize under your eyes, just because I found that I don't crease as much. The reason you might be creasing a little bit more than usual is because your under eyes are dry. Your lips and your under eyes are the exact same skin. It's very delicate and you want to make sure to keep it hydrated. Just lay everything a lot smoother. And before makeup, this is the one I like to use just because it doesn't feel heavy. It's very lightweight and I feel like it awakens my eyes. But if you're balling on a budget, the Neutrogena Hydro Boost line is very good. I'm pretty sure they have like a under eye cream, a moisturizer. You can definitely substitute these products. These are just the ones that I've been getting from Sephora, the ones that I've been liking. But I know we're balling on a budget, so yeah. Whatever moisturizes your skin, works with your skin, use that. And like I said before, I'm all about just like taking in moisture and having your skin be really like nice and plump. And for that, after my moisturizer and my eye cream, I like going in with just like a spray, a hydrating mist. I've been loving the Wet n Wild, what is this? Coconut primer water. I've been loving the Smashbox primer water. This is just gonna help your makeup stick a little bit better, but it's also gonna help add that extra like oomph of hydration. And you just want to make sure everything sinks in. So you can give it like a minute or two to let all of that just... So after that, I move on to primer. And A lot of makeup artists don't like to use primers. I do. I personally feel like it does have an effect on the way my makeup wears throughout the day. And primer is very subjective, like I said before, to your skin type. So if you are dry, you will probably prefer a more hydrating primer. If you're oily, you'll probably prefer a more mattifying primer. Primer is very trial and error. There's some primers that work on some people, some primers that don't. And you also want to make sure that you're not mixing like a water-based primer with an oil-based foundation, because it can kind of like roll off the skin or make your foundation kind of like break. So that might be a reason why some people try certain primers, and it's not that the primer sucks, it's just that it doesn't mesh well with your foundation. It's definitely happened to me before with my Nars Natural Radiant. Nars Natural Radiant is a very oil-based foundation, so you don't want to use something like the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Primer, because that's a water-based primer, so it's going to fuck up that foundation. What I like to do with my primer is find something that helps kind of like smooth and blur, and not necessarily mattify, because I don't need to be super matte. I do get oily throughout the day. Naturally, your face is going to produce oil when you have makeup on, but I don't feel like it's a super crazy concern of mine. So I like to use more of like a smoothing primer in my T-zone. I have been loving the Dr.Brandt Pores No More, and I focus that on my T-zone. So on my forehead, on my nose, on my chin. And the key to primer is to not use a lot. You honestly need like just like a baby pea-size amount, and that should be good for the majority of your face. If you use a lot of primer, it can roll off. Less is more. Less is more, always. If you're looking for a more affordable option, the Maybelline Blur plus Pore Minimize, I've really been loving that. And then I like doing that in the center of my face, a more smoothing and blurring primer. And then on the perimeter of my face, because I like that glow from within, a more luminous look, I like going in with my MAC Strobe Cream. I haven't found something that really gives me that oomph like this does. This is in Gold Light. I like a glowy gold look, and I take literally the babyest amount. This has lasted me for the longest. And I focus this on the high points of my face, so anywhere where you would apply your highlight, where you want to look a little bit more luminous, that's where I focus this. I finally feel like my skin is prepped and ready for foundation. I put my moisturizer on, everything feels nice and hydrated, my primers are kind of like sinking in, and now I feel like it's time for foundation. Next is choosing the right foundation for you, knowing which shade, what formula to choose for you. Like I said before, with all the other products, it's very based on your skin type and what your skin prefers. So if you have oily skin, you most likely will gravitate toward a more matte foundation. If you have drier skin, you most likely will gravitate more toward like a luminous. And you have normal skin, you can do both. I personally like to switch it up depending on what I'll be doing throughout the day. So if I know I want my foundation to last and be bulletproof, I will most likely pick up a matte foundation, just because I feel like it lasts a lot longer. Another important thing is choosing the right foundation shade. So undertone is very important. You don't want to pick a foundation with the undertone that isn't yours, because that's when people start to look a little bit gray, or they start to look a little bit green, maybe a little orange. That's how you know you've picked the wrong undertone, because some foundations might be in the same range, but the undertone is what distinguishes them. So sometimes you'll look at a brand and you'll go up a shade because you feel like it was too light or it wasn't matched correctly, and then when you go up a shade, it makes you look orange. You always want to go based off of undertone, not just because it's up in the range, if that makes sense. The way you kind of maneuver or figure out what undertone you are, if you look at your veins, the bluer your veins are, you would have more of a pink or a cool undertone. Then if you look and your veins are a little bit more green, that means you would be a warm or a yellow undertone. So for me personally, I feel like my undertone changes more depending on the season. During the winter, I would say I transition more into a neutral undertone. So like my NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop is buff, which is a neutral undertone, compared to my Smashbox Studio Skin, which is a little bit warmer. So during the summer, I am a bit warmer. I hope that helped. Picking foundation is so annoying. It's very hard. I've gotten to the point where I can just kind of like look at a foundation and know if it's going to be my shade right away or not. And never swatch on your hand. Try to like get it as close to your neck as possible because you want all of this to blend. Today I'm going to be using the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless Foundation. I forgot how much I loved this foundation. I have been experimenting with so many other foundations. The other day I was at Target and I was like, well, let me go ahead and pick this up again, and I love it. I love it. Only thing that sucks about this is that it doesn't have a pump. Oh my gosh, if this had a pump, 5 out of 5 stars. But it doesn't. So I have some of these lip wand thingies, and what I like to do is take some on the lip wand just because I don't like pouring it out. My other foundations I have to pump. I do pump it on the back of my hand, so that's an option. And I like to kind of like dot on my face. And going in with my Juno & Company pink sponge. I've talked about this sponge before. I really love this sponge. The way it lays my foundation, it just gives you, it's a full coverage sponge. It's not gonna soak up any product. I'm that person that loves full coverage but make it look like skin, if that makes sense. It's two contradictions. So the way I like to do it is just pat it in. Pat it in, pat it in, pat it in. And I start off with less, and if I feel like I need more, I'll add more. And you always want to make sure to get in here, just so you won't have like cracks of bare skin, because you guys know what I'm talking about. When you have those cracks of your skin peeking through, it's just a big no. I don't put any foundation directly on my nose because with whatever is left from blending out the sides of my face, I always just tap it in on my nose. I feel like the nose is a big indicator of how much makeup is on your face, so I just like to press in with whatever is left. And then my forehead, same thing. I don't start off with that much. I do start off in the center and kind of like blend outward. And after foundation, I like to go in with a little bit of concealer. Like I said before, I go in with a shade that's a little darker than my skin tone directly under my eyes. And this is just going to cancel out all the darkness. And that is the only concealer that I put directly under my eyes. And I'm using the Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Sculpting Concealer just because I feel like this is the only concealer that doesn't crease as much as every other concealer. This is the one that I put directly under my eyes, and it just doesn't emphasize that big ass crease that I have right there. And for brightening, I do go in with any concealer that I want because I do put it just right here in this pocket. I feel like it doesn't have an effect with creasing. Depending on what concealer it is, it will last more throughout the day. So I've been loving the Too Faced Multi-Sculpt Concealer. And then this concealer, I do like to blend it out with a different sponge. This is the Morphe sponge. And then with concealer, you just kind of want to pat that concealer into the area. And when I blended out my first concealer as well, I was kind of just like patting it in. With concealer, you want that color to kind of stay in that area. As opposed to foundation, we kind of like spread it all throughout our face. So you want to do these tap motions. Even though it feels like it'll take a million years to blend, it's a lot better for under the eyes. I want to make sure to go back in with the sponge that you blended out your foundation with, and kind of like just blend out the edges. You want everything to look seamless. I prefer to lay a whole base of cream, so I like to go in with cream contour. I feel like it really gives my face that warmth, because right now I look like a freaking ghost and I just feel like it chisels me out a lot more. Like in my previous videos, you guys have seen that I've been loving the Wet n Wild stick foundation. To contour, I feel like using an actual foundation stick helps it blend out a lot better. You always want to lay down, I feel like I haven't said this already, but you want to make sure to lay down all your creams before setting with powder, because you don't want to go in and set your face with powder and go over it with a cream, because it'll just patch up. It won't blend as easily. Yeah. So I just like to follow my natural contour, and I don't like to drag it out as much because you're gonna do that when you blend it out already. What I like to do is just kind of pat it in. I don't really do any motions because I just feel like it disrupts my foundation. So you just want to pat, pat, pat. It might take a little bit because you're just patting that product out, but it'll blend out. It'll blend out. This, I've been loving this brush. It's the Real Techniques. It rubbed off the name, but it's like an angled synthetic brush, and I've been loving it to blend out my contour. Go back in with the sponge that you blended out your foundation with and just blend it out even more. Me being the extra ass person that I am, I like going in with another Wet n Wild foundation stick. This is in the shade Buff Beige. Just any foundation stick that matches your skin tone. It can also be a little bit lighter depending on how snatched and defined you want to be. And I put this directly underneath that contour right there. And then take that same sponge that I blended out my foundation with and just pat it in. And then go back in with the brush that you blended that contour with and diffuse that line. You don't want that line to be harsh. You just want it to look like there's a little. Once that's down, I like to go in with a little bit of cream highlight. I like using, this is the Colourpop Super Shock Cheek in Electric Slide. I like using their highlights because it's like a cream consistency. I just like. Okay, and now it's time to set my face. You already know. You already know. To set your face, you want to get a very good loose. I feel like loose setting powders get the job done. Laura Mercier is good. If you're looking for a very good drugstore option, is the Maybelline Fit Me. I've been trying it on and off lately, and it's good. It's good. But nothing will ever beat this Dermablend setting powder. The way this makes my skin look airbrushed and just, it's this. If you haven't tried this, try it. Try it. Like I said, in my T-zone, I do tend to get a little bit more oily, so this is where I'm gonna want to kind of like bake and really set my powder in. So I'm gonna take a little bit on my beauty blender and start by patting it in this area. And patting it in is really going to give you that airbrush effect. And it's gonna keep your makeup in place all day. So I like to do it under my eyes, directly on my nose, on my chin, and on my forehead. If you get really oily throughout the day, you can do that technique throughout your whole face and it will help control the oil throughout the day. What I like to do is just take, this is an e.l.f. setting brush, and I just like to kind of like pat that powder in to the rest of my face. You want to make sure, even if you're dry, to set your whole face, because you are going to go in, well, I'm going to go in with powder bronzer, a lot of other powders on my face, and I want that to lay smoothly. You don't want to lay it on top of a wet surface because then it'll start to patch up and it won't lay as smooth as you want it to. Alright, And then once after you've set your face with powder, you want to go in with all your other powdered highlights. Oh, not powdered highlights, powdered products. So I like to bronze my face, so I like to go in with my bronzer. I'm going in with the Fenty Beauty Private Island bronzer. I've been loving this bronzer. After that, I like to go in with highlight. I've been loving this highlight lately. This is the Nars Exposed Cheek Palette. It looks like this. I do like to do bronzer, then highlight, and then blush, just because the blush kind of like ties it all together. I'm not a very big blush person, and I'm just like dipping my toes in the water. I lean more toward like peachy, corally blushes, and I've been liking the look it's been giving me. So since I'm not all the way there, I'm using this e.l.f. stipple brush. This doesn't add so much product, it just gives you the right amount. And with that same peachy blush, just kind of like sealing these two together. So the last major key to a nice foundation base is setting spray. So after you've set your face with all these powders, you look like a powdered donut. So you want to go in with your setting spray. What setting spray is going to do is basically help with the longevity of your makeup, and also kind of like melt those products in to not make them look so powdery, kind of like blend into their skin, make you look a little bit more seamless, a little bit more natural, if you will. So the two setting sprays that I've been loving is this setting spray. Is just, I love it. So Morphe Continuous Setting Mist. I love it because of the mist. It's very fine, and the way it melts your makeup in, really love it. So I go in with this one first. Very last setting spray that I use is I have this teeny tiny one, the Urban Decay All Nighter setting spray. I had used this like way back then when I first started doing makeup, and then I just kind of like fell off. But then I remembered how much I love this and how much it really does make my makeup last. With this one, only thing is I like to do a few little test sprays, because sometimes it does like camel spit at you. Alright guys, so I ended up putting on some lashes, some earrings, because ever since I cut my hair, I need earrings on me or else I feel like a naked mole rat. For lips today, I'm wearing my favorite combo recently. So I'm wearing the MakeupShayla, what is this? MakeupShayla Colourpop collab. So I'm wearing her BFF3 lip pencil. This lip pencil is so nice. I love wearing it by itself, with gloss bomb, with this ultra satin lip in Slow Down is bomb. Shayla is the queen of nude lips, and she did it right here with this. Hell yeah. That's pretty much all I have for this video. I hope you guys learned something new. I hope I was able to show you some tips or some tricks that you might be able to implement into your foundation routine. If you tried them out, let me know, see if they helped out. And that's pretty much it. Follow me on Instagram if you don't already, just because why not? As always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye guys.